Okay, hello boys and girls. This is Work on It Wednesdays. Now, on Work on It Wednesdays, this is the first episode. What I'm going to do is I'm going to work through question papers focusing on grade 10 and 11. But obviously, for the grade 12s, this is also very beneficial because, as you know, you write your final exam at the end of grade 12 on all of the work from grade 10, 11, 12 with a focus on grade 11 and 12. So this is grade 11 question paper, and for today's Work on It Wednesday, I'm going to work through question paper A1 in this grade 11 question paper book, number 1.1 to 1.5. And what I want you to do while we are working through this questions is please don't be lazy, sit with a pen and paper and do the questions with me. All right, write the papers, write the questions down, do the questions with me, so that you also get the benefit of doing the exercise yourself. This question says solve for x, where x is any real number, x is an element of real numbers, and question 1.1 is x squared minus x equals 12. Right, now there is a video on solving for x where I explain all of the things on this channel. It should either be under algebra or under basic concepts, where I explain how to solve for x for various types of equations. So if you're uncertain of any of the things, please go through that video. And there's also a video that's definitely under basic concepts about factorizing. So if there's still some of the factorizing in today's video that you are uncomfortable with, or you feel like I'm going too fast over it, you don't know what's happening, or you don't know what I'm doing, please go and watch those videos. There is a video on all of the different types of factorizing. So I'm just gonna go through this, but if you need some further explanations, go through that videos. Right, so for quadratic equations, the first thing I do is I'm going to get everything to one side, 0 on the other. The second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to factorize this. Now you can factorize this on your own time and just double check that you've worked correctly. And then this is, you can pause the video and factorize if you need to. And if you're unsure about factorizing, there's a video about that you can go to and watch. Factorizing is very, very important. If you don't know how to factorize well, please do yourselves a favor, go and sit and watch that video, and make sure that you understand what is happening. Right, so question 1.2 is 2 times 5 to the power of x is equal to 50. And yet again, in Monday's matric question video, I also had something like this, but I'm just going to say that again. It looks like 2.5 to the power of x is equal to 50. But just remember, in mathematics in South Africa, in our number system, we write decimals with a comma and not with a point. So this 2.5 is multiplied 2 times 5 to the power of x. They will write it like that if it's a decimal number. Right, so if there's a point there, that is multiplication. I prefer if they write it there on top, but I do see that sometimes in the question papers it's at the bottom there. So just be careful that you don't treat that as a decimal number. This is definitely 2 times 5 to the power of x. Okay, now I'm just going to divide for exponential equations. I want the expression with the x in the exponent alone. So I don't want this 2 here. I'm going to divide both sides by 2. So there it falls away, and 50 divided by 2 is 25. And then I'm going to write this in prime factor form, maybe you know immediately that 25 is 5 squared, and you don't know what prime factor form is, but you got this. But this is an easy one. For more difficult questions, you will need to know what prime factor form is. If you don't know what prime factor form is, under basic concepts and explanations, there's a playlist on this channel, basic concepts and something. Go and watch the video on prime factor forms, because this is also something that's very important for you to know for use in various mathematics that we do. And then from there, if I've got 5 to the power of x is equal to 5 to the power of 2, can you see that obviously then x must be equal to 2? And if you go from the base number with the exponents to just the exponents by reasoning that then naturally the two exponents must be equal, just put this thus, the 3 dots there. Okay, 1.3. This is a funny question. It's 3x to the power of 2 over 3 minus 7x to the power of 1 over 3 plus 2 is equal to 0. Okay, now you can see this looks like a quadratic equation with the 3x squared minus 7x plus 2, but now it has this very uncomfortable looking 2 over 3 and 1 over 3 there. But still, if you check that term, x to the power of 1 over 3, if you square it, if I square, I multiply that, and you can double check with your calculators also if you're unsure. But this term squared is that term. So this is definitely the square of that. So it is a quadratic equation. Just in the place of an x, I've got an x to the power of 1 over 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just factorize this like I normally would, but instead of an x here and there, I'm just going to put x to the power of 1 over 3 there and there. Okay, this term. So that's all that I'm going to do. So I've got a 3, 7, and 2 there. I can't divide the 3 out, so I'm going to have to do advanced trinomial factorizing. If you don't know how the advanced trinomial factorizing works, there is a video where I explain this. Go and watch it under the factorizing algebra and numbers. Alright, so please go and watch that. Where I explain this procedure that I'm doing here, but I'm looking for combinations specifically that will give me 7, and 3 times 2 and 1 times 1, this is 6, and that is 1, so this is 7. Where this is my x value, so this is 3x and 1x, which I don't need to write naturally, and the 3 goes with the 2, and the 1 goes with the 1x goes with the 1 number. My signs are the same, both negative, and if you're not sure what I did here now, I'm going to fast for you. Really go watch that video. I explain it slowly and carefully there. Okay, so now I'm here, and now this bracket must be equal to 0, so 3x to the power of a third minus 1 must be equal to 0, and x to the power of a third minus 2 must be equal to 0, or, okay, so x to the power of a third is equals to 1 over 3. Take that 1 over, becomes positive, divide by 3. I'm sure grade 10, 11, 12 are able to do that. And then I take the 2 over. And now, whenever I've got something like this, x to the power of a third, I've got a fraction in the exponent. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a power of the reciprocal. So instead of 1 over 3, I'm going to take 3 over 1, which is just 3, and take that power both sides, because 1 over 3 times 3 is just 1. Then I've got x to the power of 1, which is x, right? So I'm going to do that on this side and on this side actually. I'm just going to take to the power of 3 both sides. And then this becomes x. and 1 to the power of 3 is still just 1. 1 times 1 times 1. And 3 to the power of 3, 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. So x is 1 over 27, or this is just x, and 2 to the power of 3 is 8. And if you are ever uncertain of anything, please do use your calculator to double check. If it's fine if you can work it out in your head, but even if you are able to work it out in your head, if you are writing a test or exam, please just use a calculator to double check yourself, because we do make silly mistakes. Even if our heads are capable of doing the maths, we do make silly mistakes sometimes. And in the classroom, always try and do the things with your head because it keeps you sharp. But in a test or exam, even if you can do it with your head, if the question doesn't say don't do it with a calculator, if the question says without a calculator, then obviously without a calculator. But if the question doesn't state that, use a calculator. Just double check yourself continuously the whole time so that you don't make silly mistakes. Okay, question 1.4 says x squared minus 6x plus 6 is equal to 0, and it says in brackets there correct to 1 decimal digit, which means I'm going to use the formula that gives it away immediately. I'm not even going to try and factorize this. I'm going to use this formula and I'm going to use my calculator because it's to 1 decimal place. I don't have my calculator with me now. My calculator is at school and I'm at home. I forgot my calculator there, but I'm going to do it without the calculator, but I'm just going to tell you where you use the calculator, or you can just use the calculator. I'm going to do it without it now. This formula is in the formula sheet, on the information sheet that I did. The grade 12s definitely get the formula sheet. Sometimes I know the grade 11s get it, sometimes they don't, depending. So, but if you know you don't get a formula sheet, and your grade 10 or 11, the grade 10s don't work with this formula yet. But the grade 11s, if you know you don't get the formula, then see to it that you know the formula. But in grade 12, you will get it in the formula sheet. And if you get confused with substituting, write down the A value, which is the one in front of the X, is 1. The B value is minus 6. The C value is 6. Write down the values and then substitute them, just so that you don't get confused. So minus B, now B is minus 6. Minus 6 is just positive 6. Plus minus B squared, which is 36, minus 4A is 1, C is 6, over 2A, 2 times A. And really, after you substitute it, you can just put this in your calculator, feed this into your calculator first with a plus. So 6 plus root 36 minus 4 times 1 times 6 over 21, 2 times 1. And then just go with the arrow and just change the plus to a minus and equal and write down the two answers. So you can really just from here substitute this into your, or read this into your calculator. I don't have my calculator with me, so I'm going to simplify it as far as possible, which you don't need to do now. This is 24, which is 36 minus 24 is 12 to 3. Yes, okay. 2 times 1 is just 2. Okay, I'm just going to simplify it with my hand, which is a good exercise anyways, for the brain. Okay, and if your calculator, I know some of the modern calculators gives the answers in this format. If the calculator, if you feed that in and it tells you it's 3 plus root 3, you feed this with the plus now in. it tells you it's 3 plus root 3. Please, 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 please don't write this as your answer, right? It gives you 3 plus root 3, and then if you feed in the minus, it gives you 3 minus root 3. I beg of you, please don't ever write this as your answer. That's standard form. For school purposes, you need decimal form. So if your modern calculator gives you this answer, there's a button just above the numbers on your calculator, SD, that looks like this, with a double arrow in between SD. Press that button. If you keep pressing it, it just changes between standard form and decimal form. If you keep pressing it, it will go standard form, decimal, standard, decimal, standard, decimal. So, but please, if it's in standard form, just press this button so that it changes to decimal form, and then you write down the decimal form. And in this question, it said correct to 1 decimal digit, so you will then just decimal form and write and round it off to 1 decimal point. Please, but even if it doesn't say round off to so many digits in that question, don't write this as your answer. Write down the decimal form. Okay. Write down the decimal form. I'm serious. Okay. And then lastly, let's quickly look at question 1.5. I'm just going to take this off because I think I might not have enough space for 1.5 here at the bottom. Right, let's quickly look at 1.5. Last one for today. It says root of x minus 2 is equal to 4 minus x. Right, I did the video on solving for x when there's roots involved last year. But I'm just going to quickly repeat a few important things. Whenever you have a root in a question, get the root alone on one side and the rest of the stuff on the other side, which is already done here. So good. Okay, then you're going to square both sides so that you get rid of the root, which I'm going to do now. Because a root and a square are inverse operations of one another. So if I square this root, then I just have that bit there. So I'm going to square both these. But then the moment you square a root in an equation, remember this. This is very, very important. Do not forget this. You must test your answer at the end. You must test your answer. If you square a root, you must test your answer that you get. All right. Okay, so I'm going to square this so the root falls away on this side. On this side, also please don't just say this is 16 minus x squared. Don't just square these two things. You need to go and multiply these two brackets. It's 4 minus x times 4 minus x. Okay, if you need to go write that out and multiply, you can do that. But that then gives you 16 minus 8x plus x squared, right? I took both brackets and then multiply the 4 with the 4 and the 4 with the minus x and the minus x with the 4. If you need to write that out and do it, do it. Okay. And now this is quadratic, so I'm going to get everything to one side, 0 on the other. Since I've got a positive x squared here, I'm going to have 0 on this side. It doesn't really matter, but I just want my x squared to be positive, so I'm going to keep it this side. Minus 8x minus x is minus 9x, and 16 plus 2 is plus 18. If you need to write in extra steps to get here, do it. Okay, if you need extra steps, don't be lazy, do it. Okay, if you can do it directly, perfect. There's not a problem with that. It's good if you can do it directly, but if you need the extra steps so that you don't make mistakes, write the extra steps, please. Sorry about the dog barking there in the back now. Okay, and then you're going to factorize this. And yet again, if you need to just factorize this on your own until you've got this, good, but I'm assuming that you can factorize. Okay, and then I've got x is equal to 6 or x is equal to 3. And then I need to test this answer. Right, so for x equal to 6, the left-hand side will be root of 6 minus 2, which is 4, and root of 4 is 2. and the right hand side is 4 minus x, which is 6, and that is minus 2. And these two answers are not the same, so this is not a valid answer. Okay, you see why you need to test. Then x equals 3 is, the left hand side is 3 minus 2, which is 1, and root of 1 is 1. And 4 minus the right hand side is 4 minus x, which is 3, is 1, so that works out. So therefore my answer is just x is 3. My answer is not that. This is my answer. Okay, and I promise you, if you don't test, you see how much work there is still left after that. If you stop there, you're going to lose marks. Okay, don't stop there. Test your answers, write the correct answer. Remember, make a knot in your ear. Remember, when you have a square root and you want to get rid of it to solve for x and you square, you need to go and test your answers. Now you say to me, yes, but this 2 and this minus 2 is almost the same. It's just a positive, negative. And roots, are they not positive or negative? Yes, if you wrote the root there, it can be either positive or negative. But since, like this, if there's nothing in front of this x, what is this? Positive or negative? This is positive, right? Okay, same, there's a root standing there, and since there's no sign in front, this is a positive root of x minus 2, right? If you need a negative root x minus 2, then you must go and write, or you need a negative x, then you must go and write the negative there. But there was no negative, so I'm going to assume this is positive. So if I work out the root of 4, it's going to be a positive 2. And if I work out this side, it is a negative 2. And there I have a problem, because 2 and negative 2 is not the same thing. Okay, right, so that is Work on It Wednesdays. I hope you worked with me. I hope to be seeing all of you guys every single Wednesday so that we can work out some math problems. And good luck for the year and everything that you do. Okay, goodbye.